Hi everyone, welcome back to another video, and we're not talking parts today. We're not delving into the deep of this upgrade part, that upgrade part, but I have picked up a few new replicas, one of which I've ordered from overseas, which took a bit of time to get here. The second of which was a panic buy, which I'll get to in the next video. But first, we're going to be talking about a new pistol today, and I've ordered the SIG M17 from Proforce. This is manufactured by VFC. I did want one of these quite a while ago now, but when they first released, I think they were plagued with an issue here or there, not too sure, but there were quite a few reports of them breaking. First of all, they've got a lovely box. I mean, you flip it over, very, very well done indeed. I'm not normally interested in that, but in the box you get the replica. You get, this is the gas version, so you get a gas magazine. And I presume this is a tool for adjusting the hop because it's done through the spring guide, but you don't really need to use it. To be honest, it's a bit pointless. So we'll take all this stuff out of the box. Now I did mess up because I bought the pistol, and then I thought that I was buying 2 spare gas magazines, but I wasn't. Somewhere I've messed up and I've ordered 2 CO2 magazines. So probably what I'm going to have to do, order some more gas magazines, and then just maybe keep these. Perhaps we'll do a bit of testing of the power differences between them and the blowback action, but maybe keep them for the really cold winter months if I decide to use it in that. That's a screw up on my part. This was actually bought from WGC. You guys will know that I buy quite a bit from there. You'll see it's covered in oil. I'm just going to give it a quick wipe off here. I like the really dark tan. It's not like a lot of other companies. Obviously WE did their version of it, which was like the F18 and the F17, and it was a really, really light tan. So I'm very glad, because if you look at the real M17, it's a very dark colour like this. So it's a gas blowback pistol. It's got a polymer lower, metal slide, and it's got a really unique feature, much like a lot of other replicas on the market nowadays. It's becoming a bit more normal. To adjust the hop, you just turn this spring guide clockwise and counterclockwise. Very, very cool. So there's no need to strip the pistol apart if you need a little bit more hop while you're out in the field. I'll have to double check how many rounds is in that magazine, because I can't quite... 21 rounds in the magazine. The M17 comes with the slightly extended mag. I'm not sure if it holds more gas or not. Compared to the shorter M18 mags. A lot of people don't like the M17 mags. They don't like the way it sticks out. I'm quite a fan of it. So very cool. Now, I'm not as clued up on the real steel aspects of this replica. I know there was some kind of trial that they put to the US military. What branch, I'm not sure. And a load of companies submitted their pistols, and it was actually SIG that won the contract. So they do this in various sizes. You've got the M17, you've got the M18, which is a slightly shorter slide, so it comes to like there, has the shorter mag. And the reason why I decided to pick this up now is because I've been on the fence for a while. I thought, you know what, let's just buy one, see what it's like. I love the fact that we were going to be able to put a red dot on top there with a bracket. But also, it was one of them things where I was, perusing WGC, and they'd released quite a few SIG P320 models, and there was actually a brand, I think it was called Parabellum. I think it was still OEM by VFC, I'm not too sure. And this is the reason why I panic bought the next replica, which I'm not going to spoil for you just yet. But they've all been like completely disappeared off the website since. So I'd ordered this, and I was like, oh, you know what, on the next order I'm going to shove one of those pistols on there. And it was a cool pistol. It had like a black frame, silver slide, and it had that real like V-cut sort of muzzle brake design on the slide. It was really nice, and I thought, well, if they accept the same mags, which it said they did, I can use all the same mags for the pistol. I could just get different pistols, so it'll work great. But let's get into this one. You've got a functional safety on the back here, which can act a little bit like a thumb rest, not a massive thumb rest, but that disengages the trigger. Push it back down into fire and it will engage the trigger. To strip the slide, it's very easy. First of all, you've got a ambi slide release, ambi safety, and I think these can be changed over to either side, but don't quote me on that. One thing I really dislike about this, I think the licensing comes through Cybergun or somewhere else, I'm not too sure, is all this marking. So they've obviously laser etched this into the frame, and I'm really not a fan of this because it's like bubbled up the plastic. So what I might try and do at some point is maybe grab like a sharp blade and just where it's bubbled up the plastic, just try and remove it. I'm not going to get into that just now, but to remove the slide, just lock the slide to the rear. You've got a little tab here, put that at a 90 degree, loose the slide forward, and the slide falls off there. Now these pistols, I think, are, you know, mimic some of the characteristics of the real ones. So the real pistols, they actually serialize this metal frame that goes inside the pistol here. So if you want to change your lower out, you don't have to do anything in terms of change serial numbers or any of that sort of headache. You can just do it because the serial number remains the same. It's a very cool way that they've done that. And then they can put this into different grips. They do all kinds of different funky grips. So you've got the blowback housing here. You've got this wheel, which is on the spring guide, which is just the hop. We'll have a look at that in just a moment. And very easy to adjust the hop. You don't have to strip the pistol down at all. Now, before I do use this in any sort of gaming environment, I'm probably going to strip this all apart because it looks like there's so much oil in the hot rubber and everywhere. It was coated. Just make sure that's all off the pistol. One thing I really did notice about this, that this has the best and the worst trigger. You cock the pistol and the wall is right there. The trigger doesn't need to move whatsoever. The brake is right there. It's very crisp, very nice indeed. But in terms of the reset, and you probably won't be able to hear this, it's a very, very slight click, and that's the reset. So there's no, you can't feel it. It's just a really slight click, so you can't feel it and you can't hear it. It would be nice if there was a solid crisp reset just for the shooter's experience. But in terms of when that thing's cocked and ready to go, you're right on the wall there. So as you bring up the pistol, you're right on the wall and it breaks straight away. So the trigger on the brake is absolutely outstanding. Magazine, normal green gas style magazine. You've got the valve at the top. VFC do this on a lot of their replicas. Just whack some gas in it here. This is the first time I've gassed this magazine up. Just take a healthy fill of gas and we'll see what this is like on the blowback action. So as you can see, it's all empty. I'm still firstly going to point it in a safe direction and pull trigger just in case there's anything, debris or anything in the barrel, which is not. And here we have the M17. So Bada Bing actually did a really interesting video on this replica, and I think he's had it for a while. And what he was basically saying is that after a couple of shots in anything but warm weather, the gun will cycle, but it won't lock back. So we'll have to see what we get with that. I think he runs propane much like I do. But if we are running the colder weather, accidentally, I do have CO2 mags there if I want to have a dabble with that. But the trigger is very, very crisp indeed. I really do like that trigger. Let's pull the slide apart and see what's going on. So the spring guide, I imagine it just lifts out like normal. Yep, there we go. Outer and inner barrel assembly. We've actually got an O-ring on the barrel there. And then a spring on the hop to the outer barrel, much like on the FNX 45s. If you remember those. So it's a very unique way of doing it. You can see like all the oil and stuff that inside of it. And the blowback, I presume this is a piston type. Springs, very nice. It's all nice and smooth on the nozzle. And it's well lubricated. So we're probably going to just clean that down and put some better lubricant on there, because it is caked in it. If you do get new pistols and from the factory they're absolutely caked in this like transport grease, what I say, it's always best just to clean it off and re-lube it, and usually that will make them a little bit less lethargic when you first get them. Now I imagine it's just that one screw if you're fitting an RMR plate. Let's find out. So let's pull that one screw out the back and see what lifts up. Nothing's lifting up, so let's do the other two. Got 3 screws at the back here. 2 and 3. The iron sight is now fell off, so you'll see all 3 come through, and then we can remove that plate. Let's just push these screws out here. Got anything to poke it out with. Just so we don't get mixed up. I'm not sure if they're the same length or not. Looks like they are. You've got the little latch here, which on the real gun I think it sticks up to let you know that it's got a round chambered. And we can pull, hopefully pull the, got another screw there. I don't think that's for the blowback housing, I think that's just for the ejector. Is it one of these ones where we have to, yeah, we have to pinch it ever so slightly to come out of the groove. We remove it like that. So it's not actually a piston, it's a cup design. And this is what I'm not normally a fan of blowbacks, is using these really little springs. But, you know, it seems to work okay. The only other pistol I've encountered that has a weird cup design on the nozzle was the VP9. Now, if you've ever experienced the H&K VP9, it was such a bad pistol. I love the pistol. It was probably one of the most disappointments for me because it was so comfy. It was perfect for my grip, but then it just could not put out 1 or 2 BPs. It was absolutely horrendous. So I'm hoping we don't experience the same thing with this. You're also going to get a bit of side travel because the spring's only loading from one side. Unless that's perfectly railed up when it's in the pistol, we are going to experience a little bit of side movement. So we'll pop this back into place. Make sure it's going back in the right way. Have to push those side bits in. There we go. Flip this over. We're going to put that little load indicator back on. Then we're going to put the cover on, like so. Push the iron sight back on as well. And this would be great if you're doing any kind of maintenance, re-lube, clean. If you took it out for a game day and it's got really, really dirty and dusty inside, it's always recommended that you clean and re-lube it, because any kind of dust and dirt that gets in these components, the more you fire it, the more damage it's going to do, because it will act like an abrasive. This is very much so on the real counterparts as well. You know, you keep them clean, you keep them lubed, and they will treat you well. So I'm hoping this is going to be a good, solid, reliable sidearm. We get to see it. I would like to have picked up some of those Parabellum P320s, but they've just been completely purged from the all websites that I can see. So I'm wondering if SIGs had something to do with that. You know, they're not officially licensed products. They're, you know, probably infringing on their copyright. So that's probably why. Can we take this little spring off? We can. Now, how do we remove this? Do we have to remove that pin? Let's give it a push. Not too sure on that one. Maybe we just release the screw. Or do we just part the barrel? Don't really want to damage it. It does look like a pin. So I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to find out how that's done. So I've just used my armourer's block here So it is a pin. Its serration is on the centre of the pin, so you do have to give it a bit of a tap to get it out. That will allow you to pull this out. And here we have the hop unit. So it's got like a rotary style design. You've got a little gear here, which that marries up to with the spring guide. And then as we turn this, it will either apply, hop, or decrease the pressure. So it looks to me like anti-clockwise is off and clockwise is on. Take these two little screws out. Very cool design. Not something that's common in gas blowback pistols nowadays. They did have something slightly similar on the 19X. I'm only talking about replicas, of course, that I have experience with. There may be more out there that have it. And there we go. See how much oil's in there? You really don't want oil in your hop. So it's just a simple cam on that wheel, and then it pivots this to apply pressure. Let's have a look at the hot rubber. Of course, aluminium barrels, because they do that on everything these days. And you can see even the nub inside, you might not be able to see it there, is coated in oil. So we're going to have to clean that. But let's put it back together for now. This will be a job for me to do at a later date. So we'll just screw this back together now. A little bit fiddly, but just making sure everything's in the right place. No need to go ham on the screws, just make sure they're tight. Check the adjustment. Very good. Counterclockwise for off and clockwise for on. So what I need to do now is I need to put this back into the outer barrel, which will slide this in. Going to just pull this spring on. So just popping the spring back on that little latch. We'll put the O-ring back on. I imagine that's to keep the spring on, or it could just be a bit of a buffer with the top slide. We're going to come back over to our bench little holder thing here. This is mainly made for an AR-15, but it'll make do for this. And we're just going to pop that pin back in. Equal distance on both sides, good. This can go back into the slide. Spring guide. Doesn't really matter which way that goes in, because it will sit in any one of those teeth, and then we can pop it back onto the pistol. Give our hands a quick wipe because it was full of grease, so I'm going to have to take all that back apart again and clean it. But it's going to be a bit of a lengthy video, so I'll try and keep this short. Seems to be locking back okay. One thing I will say is the slide release sticks out more on the the right side than the left. So if you're left-handed, you're going to have an easier time pressing it compared to if you're right-handed. I really like the iron sights on these, nice and clear. Very good. And that is the new pistol. I'm not, just going off other videos that I've seen on this platform, I'm not expecting, you know, game-changing results out of this thing, but I like the M17. I wanted to add it to my collection. I'm probably not going to put a tack light or anything on this because I do that with all my pistols and it just makes finding holsters 10 times harder. So I'm probably just going to keep it like this, maybe put a red dot on there at some point and just run it. I'll probably change out the hot rubber and the barrel just for a nice stainless steel barrel, and then put like maybe a flamingo in. I do get good results with those. So yeah, if you want to see any more videos on this, let me know down in the comments below with your requests. You can also now submit requests through the website. You go on the contact us form, it'll put up video request, and you can request videos as long as it's something that I'm able to do. I'm not going to go out and buy a replica that I don't have just to do a video. But if there's, you know, if I'm thinking about buying that replica anyway, I'll keep that to one side. And then when I do get that, I'll keep it and do the video as requested. So thanks very much for tuning into this overview of the SIG M17. I can't wait to have a play around with it. You know, so let's probably in the next video we'll see what it chronos at, compare it with a CO2 mag, see what the feedback's like on the recoil, on the blowback action, sorry, not recoil. And yeah, let me know what you think about this SIG M17 down in the comments below. And as always, from me and Bench, we'll see you in the next one.